Peace, 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 peace. So, um, peace. This is Yellow Star to some and most. Um, Want to kind of. I'd like to first off say thank you to any and everyone who takes the time to actually check in with me to listen to what it is that I'm processing. I am a spiritual medium. I am a channeler. I'm an intuitive, extremely, empathic, and I am in a space freely allowing source to kind of paint the picture and wove what it is that they desire for me to kind of operate and move in. Um, I'm gonna get a little personal this conversation because um I kind of just want to be in a space where I could just be transparent. And if this isn't somewhere where I could do it, I don't think that I would have created this page. This is not my music. This is actually, his name is Lil Chaz Holloway, or I think it's Holloway, but him, AJGN, I love like electric guitars. I believe at some point I probably, in another lifetime I played them because they just are really, really connected to me and how I feel and how I process. But one of the main things that I've been processing is just like um, understanding the Chiron and what it is and trying to really grasp and wrap my head around it. So if you're not aware, like the Chiron is basically an energetic body that we all house. You can find your Chiron through your birth, chart, through your natal chart. There are a lot of different apps. One I could think of off the top of my head is astroseek.com. And basically, you'll see the Chiron seated under what appears to be a symbol that shows a key. And it kind of gives you information if you go to the details on what the Chiron is and how it shows up for you and what it means for you. But for intensive purposes and for trying to get this channel out, I'm going to basically just shortly state that the Chiron is your wounded healer. So, what does that mean? Um, there's a certain level, I believe, of a deity who was considered to be, the Chiron. And basically, there's this idea that there's this wound that you take on in your, childhood that is a space where you can't necessarily heal. So you operate from a level of pursuit to, coax and treat the wound that is unhealable, supposedly. However, being in Spiritual Ascension University, being in alignment with what it is that Source has for me to do here, following my promptings, constantly being in a space of meditation, I understand that the more you ascend in, the more you connect to yourself, the more you're intentional about healing in general and addressing your shadow, honoring and holding space for all levels of your being and existence. There's this reality that a lot of things that we feel like aren't healable are definitely things that we could heal. And one of the major things that we can realize when we think about the Chiron, because this is where you will, as a spiritual being, you know, market and do, your work, wherever you've been wounded, there's a level of anticipation that you get to show up in and hold in space for what is considered, your category ones, your people who you've technically been sent here on mission to kind of help and assist. This is very, very lax, y'all. I'm in like my space. I'm kind of like um forming my camera and stuff a certain way because I kind of just want to keep my space minds. But saying all that to say this, my Chiron is in Gemini, and the house matters, but I won't go through the details of that. But Gemini is wounded in their self-expression and how they communicate. And a lot of times it shows up as being told, that you speak too much, or being told that, you're too loud in the things that you wear, the being told that you're not necessarily in a space where you're fitting in. And I could say honestly, there's always been like this pursuit for me to just have a level of acceptance from, my friends and family. And it's been something that I've constantly kind of moved towards. I noticed like for a great majority of my existence here. And in the space that I'm growing into and the versions of myself that I'm, you know, more comfortable with resting in and living with, I have this level of understanding, this level of awareness of what it means to be set apart, and to be moved apart from what could be considered the crowd. And in that, there's a certain need and desire to be different, because I understand that source requires this level of my essence to be as fluent as possible, and trying to fit into um, certain levels of other people's understandings, or be accepted at certain rates within people's ideologies, without considering whether or not they're healing, or if they've healed any levels of themselves, is immaculate when you process what it is that you're actually, channeling and going through. Excuse me, I wanted to wipe that off. um One of the things that I noticed, because a lot of my wounds are connected to friendships and um lack thereof, um relationships, especially with women. I noticed the levels of subtle aggression that a lot of people don't feel comfortable talking about, because it's a space that, you really can't win. You know what I mean? I'm a woman, so I could speak on this. I'm not necessarily attacking my community, but I'm in a space where I just want to be able to speak honestly and truthfully. We as women, a lot of times, because we don't want to be seen as the aggressor, we won't be physically aggressive. We do it in a subtle way. And there's this level of passive aggressiveness that lives in a lot of us, especially ones who have disbalances or misalignments in their emotional states of being. And it's pretty amazing to kind of process and understand how far and the levels that we as women go through to process levels of aggression within ourselves without necessarily being able to check it or even see it and understand it. And a lot of times this comes out, as I stated in the description, it comes out as, reputation destruction, it comes out as bullying, it comes out as gossip and innuendos. And there's this level of character assassination that occurs when there's a level of access being denied to a energy who isn't and doesn't desire to not be pleased or met at their need. Because we as women, being divine feminine, we are magnets. We create this anchor where we get to sit and be nested, and there's this level of gravitational pull that innately we all reside in, and there's this level of necessity that is met by the divine feminine, divine masculine, my apologies, where they seek out the desire to hold space for us. And when you are in a place of misalignment, there is levels of understandings that I'm aware now more than ever that you can't hold space for, that you may not be able to interpret properly, or that you may not be aware that exists, but yet because you are, you know, internal operating and coming from an external, pitch, even if you are on the side of being physically dense and not allowing your whole state of being, the four bodies that you exist in, to be harmonious and be balanced. There's levels of what your true essence is, that desires to be that magnet, that desires to be irresistible, desires to be, loved and accepted, that doesn't want to be rejected, right? um in the midst of like all of the stuff that I've processed, I've learned so innately that there is certain levels of rejection that is my peace, and it is my right. And it's not even just in rejecting other people, it's more so in rejecting what it is that I thought that I desired, rejecting what it is that I thought that I sought out, rejecting what it is that I mis you know misinterpreted and understood to be certain levels of discernment, because I wasn't rested, in my divine feminine. Women gossip so much, you guys, that there is a level of auto that comes when, things don't really happen or flow our way. And a lot of times people don't understand when people are pouring out versus gossip, because they've set in a space of, wanting to tear down someone's characteristics, and I notice for me, because I operate from such an open heart space, that I have a level of desire to want to have tough communications, to gain deeper understandings, to be able to operate and function at deeper and greater levels within my physical, my emotional, my mental, and innately being able to pull and take from my spiritual at a rate that really sustains me, and being in a space where it will always be put in the wrong context, because there are certain levels of the divine feminine, and feminine, that sometimes isn't so divine, that doesn't allow itself to be checked unless it's a decision that it's made on its own. um it becomes a situation where you have to do like a lot of checks and balances and inventory. um the purpose of me wanting to do this and wanting to be in this space is more so not to just say that women are aggressive just like men. It's not to say that it's not just to even create conversations where there is this, comparison at all. It's really to express how I'm starting to understand why it is that I've basically shown up at the rate and the level that I've always shown up as, and how I'm learning to be and move differently, you know, because I've had such a strong desire for my whole life to, coax and cope with the wounds, you know, of my wounded healer, right? My Chiron, in my self expression and being accepted and being seen as the unique individual that I am. There's been this pursuit. Once you do have a level of friendship, once you do have a level of connection, that you're willing to, like, disregard all intuition, you're willing to disregard all warning signs and red flags when it comes to emotional intelligence and operating and functioning at the capacity of friendship or family, whatever the title may be, you know. And I'm not in that space anymore. You know, a lot of times before, I may have been in circumstances where I desired the connection with other people so much that I was willing to sacrifice myself, and it came at a cost that I'm aware I'm no longer willing to pay. And I kind of want to just give context to that. You know, there is and has been like groups and communities that I've been in my whole life. It's so crazy how when you can look back in retrospect, you know, like before I was aware of what it meant to be spiritual, before I was aware of the fact that what I was experiencing wasn't just weird occurrences, but I had been chosen and I was blessed, and my spiritual gifts of precognition and foresight and premonition and just knowing things and I couldn't really understand why or how I knew them wasn't something that I needed to curse. I'd always been in these situations and circumstances where I was having to peg myself up against a group, mostly females, to be excited or decide for them to be able to decide whether or not I fit the the markings of their group, you know. And coming into spirituality, you know, I'm kind of fast forwarding. There's this level of people being able to see your light. And I would even go so far as to say, even as a child, they could see my light. You know, a lot of people could not and do not understand why you shine as bright as you do. And I will say that it's ascension. I will say that it's my intention is how open my heart is, you know. Um, but they don't really understand why your light is as bright as it is. And the divine feminine, like I said, it desires to be beckoned and it desires irresistibility. It desires to be, you know, sit at my feet, you know, energy, love me, feed me fruit, you know, give me honey, you know, allow me to be a pleasure to you while pleasing me and holding space for me in such sacred and sensual, you know, aggressions that allow us to flow into and within each other. There's something magical about the essence of who we are once we realize that. And there's part of that essence that always seeks, it always desires to be recognized. And sometimes it comes off differently, you know. And when it doesn't have the ability to do what it's naturally, you know, made to do or it desires to do, I noticed that there are levels that we take as women to garner what it is that we may feel like, you know, is a necessity, you know, of expression, but really it comes off as, like I said, an attack. And I think we could really work on being different and showing up differently and being more accepting of ourselves and not desiring for acceptance of others. Hi, Sinka Butt. Huh? Yeah. Hi, Mama. Take your shoes off. Yeah. So, um, yeah, baby. So I just wanted to say that there's a level of your recognition that you could find in accepting yourself and not desiring the acceptance of others, while also being able to hold space for people who may not be aware of how or where they're operating at, especially in levels of aggression to other people and creating things or circumstances and situations. And I also wanted to give just, you know, my declaration, what I know to be true for me. Anything and everything, you know, that is done because of how tapped in that I am to my team, how connected I am to that which covers me. Nothing that comes to harm me will hit. I see you, you know, and I'm not bored in a sense to where I'm taking myself down to acknowledge or address anything. However, I am in a situation to where I can now be in a space of seeing what it is that's happening and allowing myself to come around here and come up here. allowing myself to not make it a me problem, you know? Um, be okay with the separation when you're set apart. Be all right. Be all right with the levels of present reality that you operating and you functioning in, because they're yours. And the levels of connection that people have to you is your choice. And if you choose not to engage, don't engage. You don't have to. And I'm in a space where I'm choosing not to, without expectation or conversation as to why, without a desire to correct what people do or don't have to say. Please do your best at whatever it is that you feel like you want to do. But be sure to remember that whenever you operating and you functioning off of, you know, inadequate, misplaced, misaligned, um, irregular, unbalanced, insufficient spaces, trying to garner a place of hierarchy or authority over someone else's energy and their expression, how they show up. It's never a win, you know and it won't get you what it is that your soul desires, which is to create that beacon that you want for yours to come to you. Be cool with being rejected from certain spaces, and be cool with the rejection of other people without having to make it a reason, without having to have a combative conversation, without it having to be an argument, um without it having to be something that is based in anger or hatred or jealousy. A lot of things really can go without being said because there's levels of understanding that we're reaching to that come through telepathically, whether people want it to or not. And for someone like myself, who a lot of times, especially with certain circumstances, sees the full picture, not the fullness of it all, but I could see a lot more than what people would like me to see. And I could also understand the root of things. There's a level of approach that I am and I'm not willing to take. And I just kind of wanted to put that out there. People make all of these memes all the time talking about stop messing with people who are peaceful, stop messing with people who are spiritual. And there's just this idea of what that means. But in reality, you have to understand that what comes with us, you have to understand the markings, the codings, the activations that have occurred in our DNA, the levels of consideration that happens with us, and I wanted to be very clear, wanted to be very vocal, regardless of what's said. I will not address it. I won't give you the attention or the act that you want, regardless of how you feel. I won't tell you why you don't have access to me. I'm going to move with spirit, and if spirit encourages me to shut something down, it's done. And I only wish for you to have that same level and connection with your soul, with your spirit team. Only wish for you to have that level of peace from within that lets you be in a space of flow to where you could release things that no longer serve you, where you could walk out of exits and be comfortable with the doors that open up to you, and be comfortable in the uncomfortable spaces that a lot of us are learning to move and traverse through. This is something today that has distracted me. And I noticed that it distracted me because I was operating from a space of not getting the level of rest, which shows up in the emotional body as well. But I'm not giving it that much energy anymore. And I just wanted to kind of just share being more mindful of what it is that you're doing, knowing that gossip isn't a form of chit chat. It is, it is a level of an attack, you know, reputation destruction, wanting to speak on the character of someone because of your exchanges. I could say with anyone who I'm no longer talking to, the most that I've ever said to anyone is that my team informed me that I no longer needed to be in connection with them. That my team told me that their energetic markings weren't a match for me, and that I was in spaces that could not house or hold me or garner to me the proper exchanges that my team and my soul and my higher self desired and deemed necessary. There is no level of character assassination that I'm ever putting on anybody, you know, even though I see what it is that you said and done. Be mindful of where it is that you're trying to go to. So when we have portals like today, 1111, you know, you could take full opportunity. You could actually jump into what it is that your team is trying to work through you. And my team is letting me know, like, hey, you met a spiral and you didn't go down that route, and we proud of you. You know, you came back to something, and instead of you choosing something outside of you, you chose to be sustained within yourself. Instead of you stressing and worrying about it or wanting to do this debacle of wanting to prove that you have the right to be different and not fit in, you gave yourself a level of acceptance without judgment, and we applaud you. You know, and I'm gonna keep moving forward in my work and my mission, but I want any and everyone who needs to hear this and know this. I'm not to be played with. I'm not a toy. I'm very, very happy, y'all. I love the things that Source is doing with me. I love showing up for my community. Um, but I see you, and I see the things that you might not see yourself. And sometimes that makes people feel uncomfortable and extremely intimidated. And that's all right. You know, I don't apologize about it. I don't ask for permission. It is what it is. It comes with, you know, the territory. But I ask that you be gentle with yourself in approaching and deciding to go forward with anything that you have as far as me and my name is concerned. Be gentle with yourself. Allow you to show up for you and love you differently in a way to where the things that you may feel like aren't what they are, they don't have to exist in your vicinity. They don't have to be present in your life. You know what I mean? Because you have more time to do what you need to do for the people you were sent here to heal. You know, um, peace. I hope y'all have a wonderful day. Please like, share, subscribe. This isn't the normal, you know, channel that I would have had, but it's necessary that I said what I said today. And I feel wholeheartedly comfortable in expressing at this rate on my page because I want it to be clear and I want it to be known. And what better way to do it than to show your face and speak something? What better way to do it than to be direct about what it is that you processing, right? So my baby's here, my family's here, my husband's home. I'm about to be with my family. Peace, peace. Happy 1111 portal. If you are in the midst of creating rituals, a good ritual today is money water. You could be mindful of the colors you use. I would say gold for fame and fortune, as well as green for wealth and finances. But you could take water that you would drink and put it in a glass pitcher, maybe like a post-it note of some sort. Write your prayer and your intentions into this paper, place it on the water, and allow it to sit. This isn't mine. It's something that I received from a soul family member, but it's something that is very, very effective. You leave it in your refrigerator for maybe like some time, and then you could basically drink it and digest it, and you take that energy into you. Papa, you could bring that in here. So I love y'all. Peace. Have a good day. Comment, like, subscribe if you have any questions. I am open for the rest of the month for my 1 hour sessions for the $67. And I'm here to help and assist and aid in evolution and elevation and ascension, not confusion or distractions.